that's when I started to be able to manage it and keep it. I haven't had November burnout in a couple years now. Friends, welcome back to my channel. This week I want to share with you guys 5 things that I've learned that really have helped in my experience with burnout. So for anybody who isn't familiar with the term burnout, it refers to when somebody just gets really overwhelmed with any myriad of things happening in their life, be it work or school or just things happening in their life, and it basically is the point where you just kind of shut down. And obviously that can be really disruptive. And so as somebody who's dealt with this for years, here's what I've learned that really helps me avoid burnout and limit how much it happens and dealing with it when it does. So the first thing that I find really important when it comes to dealing with burnout is taking stock of my self-care. I'm not really referring to face masks and bubble baths and all of that kind of stuff, because while those are important, I'm more talking about showering, eating, brushing my teeth, like the normal self-care tasks. I've definitely dealt with this a lot. I mean, when I'm in the zone working, I will go hours and hours without eating past when I really need to be. I won't feel the hunger in the first place because I'm focused on what I'm doing. I definitely notice I will force myself to stay up later so I can just get a little bit more done, and it affects my sleep, and that it just builds up until I'm at a point where I'm burning out. When I start to notice that I'm starting to feel off, the first thing I always do is take stock of my self-care tasks. Am I eating enough? Am I sleeping enough? Am I taking care of my body? Because that's only going to make things worse for me. The second thing that I do is I make sure I've created a system where I can take breaks as needed. If I'm able to work at a pace where if I'm starting to feel the burnout, I can say, okay, I need to take a day and not do work. And I tend to find that I struggle to not do any, but I don't have to be on my own ass all day. Just, I have to work. I can watch a show and do a few things that aren't really super important, but easy enough to just get done and won't overwhelm me. But that only works if I have a system in which I can say, I have to take the day off and it's not going to just destroy everything. Also, by having a system where I'm staying ahead of my work and not doing everything at the last minute or not having everything happening at once, it also helps me not feel like there's so much overwhelm on everything I do every day, and that also keeps my burnout limited. The next thing kind of bleeds into number 2, which is to take the more frequent, smaller breaks so you can avoid the massive big one. I found that if in my routine I implement space for smaller breaks, so that could mean if I finish reading this section of my reading that I have to do, I play a round of Rummy Cube on my phone. Or, I have X, Y, and Z to do today. If I do X, I can put on an episode of my show and watch for 15-20 minutes before I get back to work. Things like that, those smaller, more frequent breaks makes it so my work feels so much more manageable, and I'm able to get through it without having that buildup happen. And so yeah, it might take a little bit longer in the short term, but it's keeping me from completely shutting down in the long term, which is only going to make things so much worse. When I incorporate those things, when I listen to my mind and what I need to be doing, I'm able to get through them because I'm not trying to do my work while fighting against myself. The next thing that I want to talk about is paying attention. Start paying attention to, is there a certain time of the year or the month or the week or even the day when burnout seems to be at its worst? Do you always burn out for example, for me, I found that I was burning out in November. November was my time, and it would last through March, and it wouldn't be where I couldn't ever do anything, but it took exponentially more energy and effort to get anything done, even if it was something I wanted to do, because I was in that burnout state. As soon as I started realizing that and paying attention and figuring out when it was happening, that's when I started to be able to manage it and keep it. I haven't had November burnout in a couple years now because I've been able to pay attention and see and understand what's going on and take count and use my techniques to even things out when they start to get to that point. You can also pay attention to, are there certain tasks that make you feel more overwhelmed than others? Are there better places for you to be working than others? The better you pay attention and understand what happens for you when it comes to burnout, the better you can individualize your experience to help avoid it. So for me, that means keeping stock of what I'm doing, how much I have to do, always having a to-do list so I can visualize exactly what needs to get done by when. All the other things I talk about, making sure I'm eating, making sure I'm sleeping well enough, making sure I'm doing what I need to do to keep myself from reaching that point. The last thing that I want to talk about, and it's going to sound trivial, but it's actually really, really important, find the things that bring you joy. For me, watching shows, listening to music, playing the little mini games on my phone, reading, all of those things, writing, oh my God, writing. I've noticed, I have to take a pause to talk about this. I have noticed such a change in my motivation and my energy level and my being able to get shit done just from doing my TikToks writing every day. Even if I write for 5-10 minutes in that day, just that routine and having that creativity and having that space for myself makes such a difference for me. So figure out what those things are for you. What are those things that make it manageable to do everything else, and make space for them. If that means that that's what your break is as you're working through, make that your break. So I hope those tips are helpful for you guys. I know that they've helped me so much. So please let me know if you have any other ideas or tips or things that work for you in the comment section. And if you have any other videos you want to see, I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.